Hello world, Patricia O'Connor, perplexed Frida Reba Darcy. Wait a minute. Well, there you go. Frida Reba Darcy, Patricia O'Connor, and we are the Bonsai Balcony, and this is said balcony with bonsais and a jet too, evidently. We didn't know we had a jet. Today on the Bonsai Balcony, I just got through going through and watering the trees. It's going to be a little bit about that and a little bit about my bald cypress, my Taxodium ditchum. I've just decided that since I wanted to do this again, I would put this part off until I shot. This is a awl, something you would use to etch metal. Like if you were going to scratch a line in a piece of plate before you cut it or something. Could also be an ice pick. Could also be a screwdriver. But this one is none of those. It is technically an awl. And I'm using it. I am using it to trench out around this pot. I'm not going to go much deeper than what you see right there. I am going to go all the way around it, but I'm not going to go much deeper than that. And it's just going to be a little slowdown to keep the water that I put on here from going over the edge quite as fast. If I slow down my watering a little bit and I slow the water down just a little bit, then I won't lose as much over the side. And I don't care if I lose some. I just don't need to be pouring it downstairs when I've got gutters working towards that, and I've got drip trays to catch what goes through. So that's my little Patricia tip on that. Evidently this guy got a bald cypress frond on its way back through here. I came carrying that through here. Yeah, I've got to still be able to. This is a big old heavy tree. All right, now what we're gonna do today is I'm still sort of getting used. I'm still sort of getting used to the look of the. I'm still getting used to the look of the bald cypress being turned around, and I like it, but I'm still getting used to it, and I'm noticing things about the tree and its development since it's been facing the other way. And one thing, for instance, I had already said we have a lot of growth going over here, and I don't mind that at all. When it comes to, I just missed that hummingbird. When it comes to the three of these guys, I want the foliage to come out here on the bottom and then work its way up, and I want the foliage here to be our apex, and I want the foliage on this guy or this guy and its daughters to work its way out to here. So the whole thing, when done, would make some diamond shape. I'm not even asking that you visualize that. It's still a couple of years away. But for the last several years, the tree has been facing the other way. And much like I can't see the backside of that tree without getting into that little cubby hole and squatting down and looking, there didn't always seem to be a lot to see back there anyway. Having said that, now that we exposed this side of the tree, there's a lot to see. There's quite a bit to see here. And it could be worrying, but I'm not. And here's why. We'll get to why. But what we see when we're looking at this tree is we're looking at the smallest of the three. And it is also, as far as a single trunk is concerned, this guy, the center tree, has the width. It has the girth. It has all the buttresses that you would ever, that's what it has going. That's what it brings to the. But this one, the small one, actually has a single trunk had the best flute, the most taper, the best flute, the most natural curve. It kind of just was sultry. I keep kind of working my hand through there, but it really, really had a nice design. And I even thought that it was better than it showed because I knew that to get the height wasn't dictated necessarily by me, but by the root balls. And this one having a huge root ball that took up its share of space meant the other two had to go below it. So I'm kind of really surprised to see that buttress there. But that was a buttress that was there when I planted the tree and it wired over. All right, so then second notice, I'm like, wow, that looks really cool. I'm just gonna kind of squat down here, sit on a 5-gallon bucket, like you do. And let's talk about this. So these little, what I'm calling daughters, they come up out of the base of the tree. And I thought that they, they're helping us, they're helping the tree, and they're attractive. So I've let them go. And now I'm looking and there's two main ones, this one and this one, which is really the real main one, this one and this one. And then I've got some others, two more coming up behind it that are independent. Now when all the when all the leaves come off this tree, a little later on, a few weeks from now, probably in fall, whenever we finally make it to fall, we're in mid-October, and I would expect to see fall colors probably maybe a month from now, in mid-November. Now, having been reintroduced to this side of the tree, which I haven't really, there hasn't been a lot to see, seemingly, so I haven't been down over here looking, and this would be a little bit of trouble for me to get to. And this foliage, like I said, that I like is down here. But here's what. We did some woodwork on all three of the trees less than a year ago. And that involved me using my router and my sander to sanding disc on a grinder. Basically, it was my Makita. It was not a grinder, it was my Makita impact gun with a sanding disc on it. The wheel is what I did the most, did the most work with. Now, when I got over here, I cleaned all this edge up, and you can see where I kind of rounded that off so that the rollover wouldn't have wouldn't have this edge to crawl over, this hard edge to crawl over. See if I can make that focus better. So, also, this bark that you can see the difference in color, this is where the bark split and just kind of fell away, and I just let it go. But I could see that there was an edge here in the bark, and I made sure that I kept it covered with cut paste. Now, I was a little concerned that the little bit of rollover that I saw over here that we had just cut back to, it didn't seem to me to be continuing down this way. It just disappeared. It disappeared under the bark that I could see was slightly peeling up. And so what I decided to do was just put the cut paste over that wound so that we wouldn't see a continuation of it rotting out or separating out or getting sun-baked and bending off the tree or something and just making that a worse wound. All right. So seemingly I've thought that was great. And when I saw this bark split, I thought that's absolutely natural. The trunk is splitting, and wherever these decide, you can see all those tiny little cracks there. Every once in a while, some of those will line up, and a whole little run of ribbon of what looks like veneer will come off the trunk, and you just, you let it fall away. It's okay. Some people would clear all the bark off here and try to get that waxy look, which is what this resembles. But if you notice, we don't have any rollover here. None. There's definite rollover here. There's definite rollover here. But as it comes around, it disappears under my piece of bark. And then it disappears under the bark here. That is a little hint of that rollover. And that is a little hint of that rollover. And it goes underneath the bark there. This branch and this branch. Now you see it's starting to split and rise up. That's the rollover. You can't even see a difference in the color of bark yet because it hasn't separated. But there. So this root, that's a wire scar. That'll go away. This root, this buttress, and there's another one there. This buttress lines up with this, and this is our rollover. It goes right on up to this branch. There's nothing inside of this branch until there's nothing inside of this branch. The other side of the rollover is right here. And it kind of goes underneath the bark. You can see the bark can peel away. That's the rollover right there. It goes right there, right here, and comes down right there. So here's the rollover at the base, and there's the rollover at the base. And the only thing growing in between this spot, anywhere on the tree, is the daughters right here at ground level. If I cut these, there would be absolutely nothing in between those two pieces of rollover. I wonder how long that's been going on. I wonder how long that's been going on. The rollover looks well defined and like it's been going for a while, but how long? How long? Is this a dead vein? That's the thing too. Is this a dead vein all the way down the tree? Because there's certainly nothing sprouting out in between those two pieces of rollover. Now, I already know that one thing about this was there are quite a few times when people get to this stage of the tree, they'll take their router and start going right straight down. They'll drill a hole in the tree to let it start rotting out, and then they'll take their routers or their guns, their Dremels or whatever, and just start hollowing out. Just go right on down and just I've seen them take that little trench mark all the way down. And I haven't done that to any of these. That one over there, the big fat one, would be a prime candidate. prime candidate for that. The idea is you scoop out all the stuff. You scoop out all the stuff in here, and then you just take like a chainsaw cut and go right down the middle, all the way to the ground, and then allow all that stuff to roll over right on up to your flute. And that's how you speed things up to get it over here. I've been enjoying the looks of the trees, and I knew that to not be doing all of that extra woodwork may cause us to take a little longer in the development of our trees, but it's not like I've seen something that I necessarily had to do or we were going to wreck the tree. I really enjoy the form and the shape that they've been giving us so far, throughout this. So what am I going to do about these two pieces of rollover? And did I do that? Did I do that when I ground away a circle here? Was that the same as cutting a circle around a tree? And did I kill a vein by doing that? That's a question. I really don't know. Could that have happened on its own when this was facing the other way? Did it get some sort of exposure that caused this side to bake and just, get too hot or something? Or did I cut away surface roots? Did I cut away surface roots that fed this vein, that would fed this life vein, which is no longer that? Like a cedar, like a juniper, this could be, that deadwood feature, but no. Here's what I am going to do. The next time it comes time to do some woodwork on these trees, we're going to continue with our plan just as we have been doing. I no longer have to worry about the bark that was here because it split and disappeared. I think the way this is looking, this is going to be future bark. Either way, this piece of rollover and this piece of rollover, if I've got me in focus, those two pieces of rollover are going to, like a zipper, march their way shut. If this was 3 or 4 years old, I'm glad I didn't see it then, because I probably would have instinctually felt like I had to do something, whereas right now I don't feel like I have to do anything. In fact, by letting this go, and I just now saw it, and this has been going on for a while, but this vein is just, there it is. I'm kind of exposing a little bit under the last piece of bark. You can see it, just that line goes right in here. There's also, what you can't see is there's also a ridge right here where my thumb is going over, like another one of those kind of wants to split out. Down here, it still looks more natural, except that we do have these two veins. I mean, these two pieces of rollover, and they're just going to march their way closed. But look, here's another one. There's another one here. Look how proud that's getting, and that's just going to swell right on out. It's going to create. So I suspect that this piece of buttressing is just going to blend beautifully with this line, and as long as we can see it, until both of these waves march together and close like a zipper, we're going to have a well-defined but natural line going right up here, right up to that. And this fall, when all the fronds come off these trees and I make my branch selection, I'll probably break out my tools again, and we'll recognize this line, and we'll take care to adhere to it, and do, we're going to work the inside of our edge of our rollover so that we can speed up that rollover. But we will include that treatment to go all the way down to the base, from down here up to here, to increase that speed. And we won't be doing anything that maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, a month later, that won't even show, but we're just going to sand off the inside edge and let it heal that over to continue that march. But when I have the power tools out, I will be cutting away all of this. Now all of this whole edge is proud, and I was worried about cutting it away because I didn't want this piece of bark that I could see had a gap in it. It was kind of like looking at the edge of your fingernail there, except that I didn't want that fingernail to do things to cause it to separate right on down the tree. So cut this proud edge away, maybe go down here with my sanding a little bit, but I'll try not to cut this lifeline or that lifeline. However, I will work on the inside edges. And also the fat, I don't know how fat they are underneath this little piece of bark, which is about to split off. But it could be as fat as this once I get it down and start looking at it. And if it's paper thin, like it looks like here, I will not sand on it or do anything to it until it gets a little thicker and looks a little more proud. I think all in all, that'll help. That's going to probably just, in some ways, this may help us. This has me taking this whole thing back here. This may help us with our fluting, and what it's doing down here is fantastic. All of these features here are just making our Nabari bigger, and it's future stuff like this that's starting to swell out and show itself. This will beget this, which will go right on into that, and I'm really liking where that's going. Okay, I know that was for you Bald Cypress lovers, or those who are keeping up with the those of you who are keeping up with the progress of these trees. That was a new one. That was something that I hadn't noticed up until just a few days ago after we rotated the trees around, and I was looking at and then I started taking away my cut paste here and seeing what was up after this bark had left the building. I'm not one to peel stuff off of trees until they're ready to just start hanging down into foliage and stuff, and then I'm just like, yep, that's just like potato chips hanging off of something. But those are racing stripes. I'm cool with it. Like I said, I could carve all of that out from there all the way up and make a hollow, but we're not going to. We're going to redress this edge down to take advantage of that, of where it's trying to show us how it wants to be fluted. And I agree with the design. That design's going to just go right. That line is just going to go right to here and right on up to there. So yeah, that's what's going on. Like and subscribe if you guys have not already, our next drop will be this weekend when we do something. I don't know exactly what we're going to do yet. My ponderosas are still showing signs of heat damage from our high temp day. Today we're getting up there pretty hot as well. It started off really cool, but our temperatures are starting to get back. We've had rain for the last 3 days. Today was the first day I watered since Monday, I think, and it's Thursday. So I appreciate you. Frida appreciates you. This guy's starting to show me a little heat damage too. Otherwise, man, it is flourishing. This ponderosa is just really flourishing after the repot. I also see a tiny bit of heat damage in the graft. Okay. All right. Like and subscribe if you guys have not already. Like I said earlier, our next drop will be this weekend. This is our little Thursday off drop, and our next drop will be this weekend. I think our next in our beginner series, our last show will be coming up maybe whenever it is. It'll be either maybe the end of the weekend or maybe a week from now. But I believe it will be on potting bonsai. So yeah, keep your ears out for that. And thank you all so much for watching.